I'm going to show you how to build these two shop tables for under $100. Let's get started.
With a little patience, you can buy a sheet of plywood ripped in half at Lowe's or Home Depot. That way, all the lumber easily fits into a compact car. The remaining cuts can be made with a handsaw, and it can easily be assembled on carpet if needed. With power tools, it takes about 3 hours to build both tables.
This is a drawing of the shop table as shown from below. You can see our divided sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, the 4 2x6 legs, the 2x6 leg cross bracing supports, and the 2x4 table supports. Here's my receipt. I've got 1 5/8" screws, 2.5 inch screws, 1 sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, 4 2x4 8-footers, and 5 2x6 either 8-footers or studs. Mine were studs. Total comes out to just a little less than $100, and that'll make you 2 tables. I've got all the lumber back to the shop. I've got my drill out. I've got a circular saw. You could also use a hand saw. There's not too many cuts in this. I've got a square, tape measure, and also a pencil and a pilot bit. So first thing I'm going to want to do is cut all my 8-foot 2x4s to 93 inches. That'll give us 1.5 inch space on either side for the side 2x4 to fit. So now I'm going to do the legs. My legs are going to be 29.5, but you can make your table whatever height you like. So now I've got my 4 29.5 legs cut. For the sitting table, I'm going to do 4 41.5 legs for the standing table. So I've got all my legs cut. I'm going to do the sitting table first. So now, provided your sheet was ripped equally, you'll have 24. We're going to subtract 3 from that to give us this inside piece right here at 21.
Once all the parts are cut, we need to arrange them for assembly.
Now I'm going to pre-drill 4 holes in each leg. 2 will go into the side member and 2 will go into the cross member. So you can see right here, I just eyeballed them, but that's where they're going to go. 2 into the side member and 2 diagonal into the cross member. Alright, once you get everything pre-drilled, we're going to want to line it up as good as we can on the ends, flush. The other end we want to get decently lined up, but we can leave the legs down so we don't have to worry about them tipping over. Now we're going to put our 4 screws in and finish this end, and then we'll flip it around and do the other end. Alright, so I've got mine flipped around now, so you can see the end better. Obviously you don't have to flip yours around. It's already a little bit out of square, and that's just because of tightening the pieces up, but that's not a problem because when we attach the surface, it's going to square everything up. So I'm just going to repeat the same process for this end. Now that the structure is complete, I've flipped it over and we're going to attach the surface. And to do that, I'm going to pre-drill in the locations I need screws. Put these on center, inch in, inch in. And I'm going to do that for both ends. One item I forgot to mention is a 5/16 drill bit. You're going to want to countersink the screws. You could just pull them in depending on the material you're using, but I'm thinking especially on this end, if I pull them in, it's probably going to splinter. So it'll save me time just to countersink. Now that I've got it all squared up, I'm going to attach one at each corner, making sure I'm all aligned, and then screw it down. I'm going to use the 1 5/8 inch screws for this. So now we've got a perfectly functional table, but we're going to want to add a few additional screws to strengthen it up. So I'm going to put 2 across here and a number down the length. I'll just measure it out and hit an even number. I was a little sloppier on previous tables I made. It came out where it came out. So 24 divided by 3 gives us 8, so I'm just going to go 8 and then 3/4 in. One final optional step is to use a belt sander with 50 grit sandpaper to smooth up the edges and corners. I like to put a little bit of a bevel, maybe 1/8 to 1/4 inch on these edges to keep the plywood from peeling up over time. If you have a coarser grade plywood, you might even want to take the belt sander across the surface. This stuff's pretty nice, so I'll probably leave the surface alone. I'm just going to round the corners and clean it up. One additional touch-up you can do with the belt sander is to round the feet a little bit, and that'll help it slide across the floor with not quite as much noise. Rounding will also reduce the risk that it'll split out if you pull it along the surface, so makes it a little nicer. Since this plywood has a pretty nice surface already, I'm just going to hit it with some 220 sandpaper to clean up the screw holes. Well, the table's all complete. You could certainly finish it if you like, but since mine's for indoor use, I'm just going to leave it as is. The nice thing about this table, not using any glue, it's fully disassemblable and transportable. You can put longer legs on it anytime you need. Pretty versatile, really. So just repeat the same process for your remaining parts and you have 2 tables.